Hello friends, welcome to my channel. I'm here Tanya Rose Jacob. In this video, let's discuss about the clinical manifestation of Streptococcus pyogenes. The clinical manifestations can be divided into suppurative complications and non-suppurative complications. Suppurative complications are the first one is respiratory infections and that pharyngitis or sore throat. Then scarlet fever, then skin and soft tissue infection and that impetigo and cellulitis, deep soft tissue infections like necrotizing fasciitis or hemolytic streptococcal gangrene, and bacteremia, streptococcal toxic shock syndrome, puerperal sepsis. And non-suppurative complications include acute rheumatic fever, post-streptococcal glomerulonephritis, guttite psoriasis, reactive arthritis, pediatric autoimmune neuropsychiatric disorders associated with the Streptococcus pyogenes. Let's discuss each one in detail. The first one is pharyngitis or sore throat. If the throat is primarily affected, it is pharyngitis, and if the tonsils are primarily affected, it is tonsillitis. A child might even have inflammation and infection of both tonsils and the throat. In pharyngitis, it is characterized by erythema and swelling of the pharyngeal mucosa with purulent exudate formation. See here, in this diagram, you can see the abnormal side as well as the normal side. So you can identify the difference very easily. In the abnormal side, you can see the redness of the pharynx and the swollen tonsils you can see here. And for the younger children of less than 3 years of age, the fever, malaise, cervical lymphadenopathy without exudative pharyngitis you can see. The malaise is nothing but the feeling of discomfort or illness. And it becomes complicated when it spread from the pharynx to the deeper tissue by the direct extension or hematogenous or lymphatic route, which may lead to quinsy, the peritonsillar abscess, sinusitis, inflammation of a nasal sinus, and otitis media, that is inflammation of the ear, meningitis, inflammation of the meninges, and bacteremia, the presence of bacteria in the blood, and post-viral pneumonia. And next one is scarlet fever. It is mediated due to SPEA, B and C, the streptococcal pyrogenic exotoxin A, B and C. It is characterized by pharyngitis along with pharyngitis, rashes with a sandpaper feel. You can see here rashes over the skin, as well as the strawberry tongue. See strawberry tongue, and the rashes in skin folds, Pastias lines, that also you can see here. Okay, that is about scarlet fever. The next is skin and soft tissue infections, and that the first one is impetigo. It is nothing but the fluid filled blisters on the skin. The most commonly affected side is the face, nose and mouth, as well as the lower extremities. Lesions are painless and not associated with fever. Impetigo is not associated with fever. The risk factors is the younger children, warmer months, minor trauma, poor hygiene, colonization of group A streptococcus. You can see the impetigo here, the blisters you can see here, and next one is cellulitis. It will affect the skin and the subcutaneous tissue. Erysipelas is a form of cellulitis which is characterized by a tender, bright red, swollen skin, and here you can see the involvement of the superficial lymphatics. It is associated with the fever and the chill, and the site is malar area of the face as well as the lower extremities. Here you can see the recurrences are common in this condition, that the fact it can occur again. This condition can occur again and again. See here, it is the diagram showing cellulitis, lower extremities you can see. And the next diagram, next manifestation is deep soft tissue infection. Important one among those is necrotizing fasciitis or hemolytic streptococcal gangrene. It involves the superficial fascia, deep fascia, and the muscles also. Hence, the group A streptococci is also known as the flesh-eating bacteria. It is little dangerous condition actually, because it will invade into the muscles also. See here this picture, and it is caused by the M protein type 1,3, which produces the streptococcal pyrogenic exotoxin. The source of infection is two types. The first one is traumatized skin, and the second one is GIT breach. The traumatized skin, in that the streptococcal pyogenes alone or in mixture with the Staph aureus cause this infection. GIT breach is due to abdominal surgery, and the treatment of this necrotizing fasciitis is the early drainage of inflammatory fluid and debridement of the involved necrotic area along with the antibiotic. The first one is we should drain the inflammatory fluid, and the drug of choice, the antibiotic used here is penicillin G along with clindamycin. Bacteremia, it is the presence of bacteria in blood. Secondary to the necrotizing fasciitis, it is seen secondary to the necrotizing fasciitis, rarely with the pharyngitis or cellulitis or pneumonia. It leads to variety of focal infection like endocarditis, meningitis, septic arthritis, osteomyelitis, peritonitis, visceral abscesses, and toxic shock syndrome. Streptococcal toxic shock syndrome. Don't be confused with the streptococcal toxic shock syndrome and staphylococcal toxic shock syndrome. Both are different. The one difference is the streptococcal toxic shock syndrome patients are bacteremic, whereas the staphylococcal toxic shock syndrome patients are not. It is caused by the pyrogenic exotoxin, which is one of the virulent factor of the streptococcus pyogen, and it is seen secondary to the soft tissue infections such as necrotizing fasciitis, and it is characterized by shock and multi-system organ failure. Puerperal sepsis. It is the infectious complication of the childbirth because the bacteria which cause this manifestation is the colonizer of the female vagina. And the non-suppurative complications include the acute rheumatic fever, post-streptococcal glomerulonephritis, cutis psoriasis, reactive arthritis, pediatric autoimmune neuropsychiatric disorders associated with the streptococcal pyogenes. Here we will discuss in detail about only two non-suppurative complications, acute rheumatic fever and post-streptococcal glomerulonephritis. Before that, we have to know one thing, that is the streptococcal antigens show molecular mimicry with the human antigens. See here. Here you can see the streptococcal antigens and the human antigens which will mimic. And the acute rheumatic fever. It occurred in people previously infected with the streptococcal sore throat. It is commonly seen in the people who have previously infected with the streptococcal sore throat. The pathogenesis is actually it is unclear, and it may be because of the autoimmune theory or cytotoxicity theory. Autoimmune theory is the streptococcal antibody cross-react with the human tissue antigens of heart, brain, and joint and cause the acute rheumatic fever. Cytotoxicity theory is the streptococcal toxins enzymes are directly cytotoxic to the human cardiac cells. Clinical manifestations and the laboratory diagnosis is this acute rheumatic fever affect heart, brain, joints, and the skin. A COV nodule is the cardiac lesion include the degeneration of heart valve and formation of inflammatory myocardial lesions. And the acute rheumatic fever is diagnosed by John's criteria, and the major manifestations of the acute rheumatic fever is the subcutaneous nodules, pancarditis, arthritis, that is migrating polyarthritis, chorea, which is a CNS manifestation, and pancarditis is the inflammation of the entire heart, like including epicardium, myocardium, endocardium. It is inflammation of the entire heart. And chorea is the neurological disease characterized by the jerky involuntary movements, which is a CNS manifestation, and erythema marginatum. skin lesions and the skin lesion. And the minor manifestations include fever, arthralgia, which are the clinical manifestations. And in the laboratory you can see, for patient having the acute rheumatic fever, the laboratory findings will be elevated ESR and C-reactive protein. And when we look at the ECG, you can see the prolonged PR interval. And the supporting evidence of previous streptococcal infection like elevated ASO or A positive throat culture, rapid antigen test for group A streptococcal, recent scarlet fever are the supporting evidence. And the rheumatic fever is diagnosed if there is either two major manifestation or two minor manifestation plus the evidence of previous streptococcal infection. For the patients with acute rheumatic fever, the ASO titer is much higher, and the prognosis is variable, and the repeated attacks are common in the patients having the acute rheumatic fever. Hence, long-term penicillin prophylaxis is indicated. And the next non-suppurative complication is the post-streptococcal glomerulonephritis (PSGN). It typically occurs 2 to 3 weeks following either pyoderma or rarely following pharyngitis. Uh, After this, we will look at the difference between the acute rheumatic fever and post-streptococcal glomerulonephritis, so that you will get more idea about this. And the post-streptococcal glomerulonephritis is common in children between the age of 5 to 12 years. And how it happen is, the lodging of antigen antibody complex on the glomerular basement membrane, which will lead to the complement activation, which in turn cause the urine retention and the renal insufficiency, resulting in the edema, hypertension, hematuria and proteinuria. Patients have elevated streptococcal anti-DNase B antibody. Here you can see you can differentiate the acute rheumatic fever and post-streptococcal glomerulonephritis. Prior infection with, in case of acute rheumatic fever, the prior infection of pharyngitis strains there. In case of PSGN, mainly pyoderma and rarely pharyngitis. And the repeated attacks are common in the acute rheumatic fever condition, and it is uncommon in case of post-streptococcal glomerulonephritis. And hypersensitivity reaction is type 2 for ARF and type 3 for PSGN. And the prognosis is variable for ARF, and it is a good prognosis for PSGN. It's all about today's lecture. Hope you guys like my video. If you like my video, please don't forget to subscribe my channel for more and more videos. Thank you guys.